Good afternoon, you guys. It's your boy Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Much love to the entire LDBC and the basketball community. If you want more basketball content, tune in to Basketball Conversations every Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Time, is where we discuss basketball-related topics, news, debates, and everything else in the world of basketball. So it is tonight, so be sure to tune in and check it out. If you are new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon to get all the latest notifications when I start dropping videos and live streams. And please spread the word about the channel. If you want to donate to the channel, I'll put in the Cash App and the PayPal link underneath the description box if you want to donate any money to the value of the channel. Well, with all that out the way, let's get down to business here. And this is going to be a little bit of a snippet that we're going to talk about tonight. Man, I tell you, Kendrick Perkins, my man, is a complete embarrassment. I mean, this guy, he never stops, acting a damn fool and always trying to keep putting his foot in his mouth every time when he speaks. Okay. And what happened this morning on First Take pretty much is this. Kendrick Perkins was pretty much responding back to what, Kevin Durant basically said, calling him a sellout, which is, obviously true, as you guys have seen. But here's what he basically had to say about it. He basically was just lashing out, basically saying, like, man, I can't believe this guy called me a sellout. I live in the richest community, man. Do you know what the kind of racism I have to deal with? Do you know the kind of, things I have to do, to stand up for our people, man? You know what I mean? I mean, it's so, I was there with Durant when we there with his MVP award. Kendrick, nobody cares. Shut up. You're being paid on a network that is basically trying to suitor to LeBron James. Quit it, bro. And you even expose yourself even further when you basically blasted Skip Bayless, when you basically showed a picture of you, yourself, and LeBron James at an AAU circuit back when you guys were teenagers. So cut the BS, bro. You are basically caping for LeBron James hard. And everybody's starting to realize that. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna get into Steve A. Smith because he's pretty much a company man. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Y'all know what he represent. But here's the thing. When a lot of these retired players, finish basketball, they go to a broadcasting course offered by the NBA where they basically get online training about how to, transition into broadcasting. That's how a lot of these retired players, get into jobs in broadcasting. Now, what we've seen is a lot of these players go out there and say some of the dumbest stuff you'll ever see. The only few good analysts that I've seen are either Jim Jackson, Steven Jackson, and Matt Barnes. That's probably the only few I've seen. But other than that, there's no other good basketball analysts out there because they all have a biased perspective. And Kendrick Perkins is no different. In fact, I think Kendrick Perkins is making himself up there to be probably the worst analyst I've ever seen. Every single time that he's run his mouth, there's no good that comes out of it. He's already exposing a lot of different secrets, a lot of things that is going on in the locker rooms that should be kept sacred. Okay. And I know somebody's going to come across and say, like, well, he's a retired player. What does he have to lose? You know what I mean? It's not like he was coming back to basketball anyway. And, hey, why are you keeping on the brother? Listen, he is no brother of mine. All right. I don't care what the man does outside of ESPN. It don't matter to me. All right. Again, I'm not wishing no harm on no human being. All right. But Kendrick Perkins needs a reality check because the fact is, it's only a matter of time before the network starts making cuts and they're going to start releasing a lot of different people. And he won't be surprised if that happens to him down the line. But back to the subject in hand here. The guy was literally embarrassing himself in front of live television, trying to play the victim role when clearly he was the one who basically started talking stuff about Kyrie Irving, basically saying there was no leadership, there's no direction to where he's going there to. Listen, you got these reporters need to start rereading their information out there, okay? Kyrie Irving did not say that the players should not play. He was basically voicing the concerns about what the players were talking about because they were too afraid to stand up to Chris Paul and LeBron James because of the heavy, influence that both Chris Paul and LeBron have with the owners. That's why they went to Kyrie Irving afterwards because they felt that their concerns were not being registered to Chris Paul. So that's one thing. The other thing too is that it's not like he's trying to go out, and trying to say that we should band together and not play. He's allowing them to give them the choice if they wanted to play or not. And that's why he's giving their full support on that whole issue. All right. That's number two. Number three, I have no problem with the idea of Kyrie Irving wanting to start his own league. If the league is not going to adhere to the concerns of the players, then all the players that got a lot of bags in their money, they should formulate it and start a league if they want what they want to do. I don't know how that will work out, but I like the idea of it. But to stick to the subject of Kendrick Perkins here, this is a guy that basically started his career with the Celtics, as you guys know, playing with three of the greatest players in the game, with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. This dude won a championship basically as a starting center, not doing anything, and pretty much was riding their coattails to a championship. All right. When he got traded to OKC, he didn't even do much either. All he did was being the enforcer. And Kevin Durant basically in this 2014 MVP speech, okay, basically gave a lot of praise and a lot of love to Kendrick Perkins. But then all of a sudden, Kendrick Perkins, when he joined Cleveland, all of a sudden turned his back and basically started caving for LeBron James heavy. And his Instagram, post basically confirms about what we initially really thought about Kendrick Perkins in the first place. And not just that too. And also check out the video I did about Bill Russell. But also Bill Russell even had to put Kendrick Perkins in his place when he basically had to tell him, like, listen, I could have been in the Olympics back in 57, I could have been in the long jump. I could have been in track and field, but I chose not to because they wouldn't allow an athlete to play two sports. And that's why I stuck to basketball, and basically shared a clip of him sprinting down the floor to get a block shot. You want to talk about a great athlete? Bill Russell was already a great athlete back in his own physical peak. And basically Kendrick Perkins had to retract it back. You see, all these things really makes him look really, really bad. And I'm glad a lot of these people are basically seeing the light about this. I looked on the comment section on that video. There were a lot of people that's basically like, oh, really? Where was that comment? Where was those words at when you were playing with OKC? Where was that all that stuff there? And then also there was the people that also defended Kendrick Perkins too, which I had to acknowledge that. But pretty much the majority of them were basically ripping Kendrick Perkins to shreds. And this is why I tell people all the time: stop listening to a lot of these debate shows. Sure, they provide maybe some good talking points, but right now they have no other content that they're trying to produce for different people. They always stick to the same subject every single day. That's why a lot of people have turned away from debate shows and turned to a lot of the underground shows and channels here on YouTube, because the fact is we provide different types of content and different types of things that reaches a different variety of audiences. All right. With me, I always touch upon basketball, baseball, and maybe a touch bit about the NFL when it comes to like issues with Colin Kaepernick and social injustice issues. But if you ask me about football, I will not probably touch that a bit, because I'm also on the fence about what they did to Kaepernick. But the point is that I provide historical videos. I provide, different type of opinionated videos. I provide a show for you guys. I have different ways to push out different content. Although for ESPN, they have ways and means to do it, but they always stick to the same subject. Why? Because it creates more controversy, it's click views, and it generates ratings. That's how they survive. They can't survive without actual live sports. That's how they produce most of their content. And right now, because of the pandemic and because of the social injustice issue going on around Black people, sports is in a major pause right now. And so they're scraping at the bits to try to create more content. And a lot of times, a lot of the content is actually absolutely 100% garbage. And also another thing, though, too, I also watched some about Undisputed about the same subject. Why is it that Skip Bayless is basically regurgitating what we've been talking about for over the last month or so? Because it sounds like to me that he's kind of listening to the videos, or just kind of just telling us what we basically been saying this whole time. So at the end of the day, man, Kendrick Perkins is just an absolute joke, and everybody knows that. I'm glad a lot of the casual people are starting to see that. And if he ever gets back to Boston, he should be booed heavily booed. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're basically a caping for LeBron James when you basically were wearing a Celtics jersey, and basically were responsible of helping out the Celtics beat the Cavaliers all them years between 2008 to 2010. I mean, Kendrick Perkins is a hypocrite, and his double standard mouth never stops talking. You know what I mean? That's why I always pay attention to the illogical fallacies of other people that always speak out, very bad facts, because all their arguments are not invalid. All of this is just opinion. So that just is what it is, though, man. So I have nothing to care about with Kendrick Perkins. He's just an embarrassment, and he makes himself look like a fool every day, and y'all people know about that. So, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section.